That's so good. Save my legs here. That was my thing, like third grade. Me,
Sorry, look at that.
what just happened? I look over like,
Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started here in a few moments. Please make sure you check in and speak of your items.
All right,
Please make sure you check in.
I forgot.
did you check in?
You're in the way of the door.
The camera is directly at me.
Just stay in your face.
Sweating from my run from class.
This is so dumb. Not that, it's that I because it's set up to my Google account.
Yeah. I've never checked in.
A teacher. I wonder if I it likes you guys.
It really does.
People.
You got pizza.
That was my bad. I caught myself. No, I did. I would in my head. I would. I'm gonna. No, you're fine. It's my favorite word. No.
I'm tired.
Hey, what you saying?
That got orange. Wow.
Stop.
My very good. Always.
That decision so much. Someone like controlling it? Why is it? Why doesn't it?
It's supposed to track while you're talking.
And you're talking, so it's all.
It's me.
Where's that speaker?
Why do I have 17 notifications and silence?
Where's the speaker?
It's at the gym. Like, I'm not listening. You want to
Keyboard register.
It's gotta be under.
You sure?
Positive. Okay. I'm registered.
Who else?
Oh, it's not yet. I need to find it.
It's not Corey.
I'll see if it.
I got Logan. I got Paul.
You got me.
Who am I missing? Did I?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, are you in charge of I don't know. What's going on? I don't know if you know about that. Isn't that who told me this? Logan. What's going on at Escanaba?
Colorful. It's in my report. Hey, it's in my report. Yeah.
Mocktails.
Cocktails?
Mocktails.
But like, it's so good.
President.
Sorry. Hard of hearing, actually.
That's actually.
Garrigan, Sadie, Schmitty, Keebler, Wheaton, Reaper, Kelly.
Yeah.
Trank. You didn't check in yet.
No.
Got on connect.
Olivia.
I'm trying. It's not.
Okay.
Wait, there we go.
Where's our speaker?
Why do we have a
The next morning I woke up and was like, did that just happen?
Yeah, he's talking
It was weird because it kind of did my day.
Logan.
My fault, y'all.
That's funny.
Olivia, did you get it?
Yeah, I did.
It is not your fault. And I stand by that.
Tell him to check his email.
I gotta be good to cover it.
I'm supposed to track it.
I just think it's funny that it's in the agenda.
Well,
By punch through.
oh my gosh. He's getting the 1 cent.
Check the words, check the what else? Check the answer.
They're not voting on shit. They're appealing.
It's like catching me off guard. It's oh my god, I think.
How do you
See everything. That's why I picked this guy, you can see everything.
you can tell? Is that what that means?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, hey, how's it going?
Okay, wait. Over, under.
So how did you customize it?
Wait, no. 8:30 over, under.
8:30 over.
Speaker set it at 9.
Is it on?
I was gonna say the over under is right now is 9.
Is that 9?
Is that 9?
9 p.m.
Over under 9. That's the guess.
I'm with the clerk of an
I'm
hour.
taking the over.
Because I have a group project that has a phone call as soon as this is done.
I'm already staying for all night anyway.
That's
I'm sure you can eat pizza rolls.
You can't figure out how to.
Why?
I think Frank, you might be able to start this meeting.
I think we can get through some stuff while they're working stuff out.
Yeah, we'll soon, good sir.
Can you do that? Is that, yeah,
But where did you found it?
That's
This one's
purely
We're only
joking.
upstairs in the
It might not be a good idea.
bad idea.
Oh, you can only switch it
is.
if you have.
Veto.
Probably, okay.
I know I don't, but I still veto.
I'm the only one with that power right now.
Oh, good God.
Okay.
I'll write a proclamation.
Yeah, this is.
Proclamation condemned.
Yeah, condemning the action.
I think that was probably fair.
No,
I don't know.
They're doing and
Even though we gotta work on that language, because like the Senate votes on it,
So-
it's like, let's put it in there, this is a resolution. Sorry, legislation. Gotta go ahead.
How much first?
It was really
Good, I'm sleepy.
So did y'all do the Wordle today?
I did do the Wordle.
I haven't done it.
Wordle is not small talk.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's actually.
Wordle is small talk? Oh my
Okay, I'm calling it
goodness.
small talk because in what other like situation simply why does he bring up Wordle at a Senate?
Because it's worse.
Technically, you're not in a meeting.
Yeah, we're not. Well, is it not? There's just other people here who are not.
Doug sat next to me like he's up too. Sit down.
What is this word?
I I just went and talked to Kyle today, and I was like, make sure that's successful. And then I came back, I was like, oh. I'd rather it be here. Because we're still waiting to get here.
Oh, good.
Right? That's, look at those, it's like the Red Sea over there.
Time is 7:09, and I call this session the Whitewater Student Government to order. If you are able, please rise alongside me and do the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And with that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Senator Wolf,
Present.
Senator Carter,
Present.
Senator Irwin,
Present.
Senator Estel,
Present.
Senator Gross. Present. Senator Gunsaw.
Present.
Senator Houston,
Present.
Senator Tobin,
Present.
Senator Kubler,
Present.
Senator Michael, Senator Rodriguez,
Present.
Senator Punzel,
Present.
Senator Purnell,
Present.
Senator Reber,
Present.
Senator Schmidt,
Present.
Senator Wheaton,
Present.
Speaker Wilson.
Present. And with that, we will move into special orders, starting with item A, Senate oath of office. If you were elected to a Senate seat last week and got your signatures verified by the clerk, please join me up front as we take the oath of office.
It's this way.
Entrance is right over here today, folks.
Did you see what it said? We're going over to the other map board. So it's should be in here. Share.
As you have been chosen by the students of the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater as a senator on this student government, understanding that you have been chosen to perform such an active and important role, do you accept the position of senator and all the responsibilities, duties, and privileges it will include? If so, say, "We will to the best of our ability."
We will to the best of our ability.
Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Debbie Kirikopoulos,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to fulfill the obligations and responsibilities of my office,
to fulfill the obligations and responsibilities of my office,
to be knowledgeable of
to be knowledgeable of
and uphold the WSG Constitution,
and uphold the WSG Constitution,
the WSG standing rules,
the WSG standing rules,
and university policy,
and university policies,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, folks. It is my pleasure to introduce you to the three newest senators of the Whitewater Student Government. You can take your seat. And we're among the crowd. And with that, we'll move on to item B, appointment of two ESCR district seats. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight who's been running for an ESCR district seat? Wonderful, thank you very much. You can come around this side. As you do, please let the president know how to say, vice president, know how to say and spell your first and last name so we can type it up on the board. Jan, you want to stand here?
What? No, Constitution. There's one more I just find.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to step around here. Okay. Go where the podium is.
It does, yeah.
No.
Sorry, I was up there.
And it's Beasley too. It's Beasley? Wonderful, Miss Beasley. Well, you'll have 3 minutes to tell us a little bit about why you want to be the next senator of the Whitewater Student Government, your name, major, and then we'll move on to questions. The floor is yours.
Say that again, sorry?
You'll have 3 minutes to tell us a little bit about why you want to be the next senator of the Whitewater Student Government, include your name and major, and then we'll move on to questions.
Hi, I'm Isabel Beasley. I am a freshman and I live at Wells West, and I want to run for the Esker Division seat because I want to make a difference on campus as a freshman, and from freshman to senior year, I want to try and make a difference on campus. I am a journalism international emphasis major, and since I felt like as if I'm gonna start writing stories about this in the future, I might as well get involved and see what it's like. And I've always been interested when I was younger, and I like to join because I heard the debate with the presidential senators over here, and it brought me to the fact that hey, I really like this, and this is something I want to do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. With that, we will move on to questions. Are there any questions for the candidate tonight? Senator Ponce.
So, what is a favorite quote you've heard about leadership in the past, and why is it your favorite quote?
I don't really know a quote, but I do remember when I did JROTC, I learned a lot about leadership, and that it comes through taking responsibility for what you do and for your own mistakes, and it makes you a better person for your own future.
Senator Houston.
Someone were to offer you a piece of criticism, how would you respond?
I wouldn't respond in a rude manner. I would be, obviously, depending on the criticism, I wouldn't overreact or anything, especially if I'm in public or anything like that. And I usually do take feedback very well, especially if it's constructive criticism, because I've done speech for many years, so I know what taking criticism is like, if that's what you mean, like constructive.
Senator Cal.
What is the biggest issue on campus that you think you could make an impact with while being a part of this body? And how would you like to make that?
I believe I can do something about the parking, because I've heard a lot of people complain about it as an issue. And that's something that I thought about bringing up or fixing while joining. And also, I found that there's some stuff going on with student housing as well that I thought maybe I'd try and at least do my best in my own way to fix.
Senator Cal.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do apologize.
Oh, Senator Carter.
If time, labor, and money wasn't an issue, what would you change on this university?
Well, I would. Something I'd like to change, well, I've noticed is the lack of communication, because I noticed that there wasn't a lot of communication with the freshman orientation when I came along, because I found that out right at freshman orientation about a lot of things that happened at campus, even though I've been connected with the email for 6 months and didn't find nothing about it. I think I'd fix the communication.
Senator Wheaton.
If you were a tool in a toolbox, what would you be and why?
I think I would be the box of screws, because I have many multiple ideas that I can try, and if it doesn't work, say if the screw doesn't fit, you can always try multiple different screws to make it work.
Any other questions? What's seeing none? Wonderful. With that, we will move into a roll call vote. A vote of aye will be a vote in favor of the candidate. A vote of nay will be a vote against. You can also use the candidate's name as a vote of aye. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Wolf.
Aye.
Senator Carter.
Aye.
Senator Irwin.
Aye.
Senator Esmeralda.
Aye.
Senator Gross.
Aye.
Senator Gutzoff.
Aye.
Senator Houston.
Aye.
Senator Kelvin.
Aye.
Senator Keebler.
Aye.
Senator Kelleher.
Aye.
Senator Kyrikopoulos. Close. Kyrikopoulos, but aye. You'll have to give me a note after. Okay, great. Senator Patrica.
Aye.
Senator Punzel.
Aye.
Senator Purnell,
Aye.
Senator Reber, Senator Reyes,
Aye.
Senator Schmidt,
Aye.
Senator Wheaton. Aye. Speaker Wilson.
Aye. And with that, congratulations to the most newly appointed Senator of the Whitewater. Please come and see me after the meeting for what the next week or so will look like for you. With that, we will move on to the appointment of one Drummond District Senator. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for a Drummond District Senate seat? Once? Twice? Seeing none. With that, we'll move to the appointment of two off-campus district seats. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for an off-campus district seat? The one quick twice, seeing none. With that, we'll move to the appointment of two Rock County district seats. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for a Rock County district seat? And once, and twice, seeing none. With that, we'll move into item F. The Smith-Patricus Elections Committee Appeal. So the Smith-Patricus slate, you have the clerk.
Testing release, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go where you want it, you can go up.
Good evening. The Smith-Patricus slate is here today concerning the decision to disqualify our slate from the Elections Committee that occurred last week, Wednesday. We would like to appeal this decision due to a discrepancy in the election process that limited us from receiving a fair process of decision-making and ability to defend ourselves. As you know, appeals may only be heard if a discrepancy in the election process occurred. Per Section 11.5D, if a disqualifying violation is filed, the Elections Committee will meet and hear the violation within 2 business days. The first violation was submitted on March 13th, 2025, which is now 25 days ago. We were notified there was a violation on March 14th and did not receive a copy of the violation until March 19th. Enough time had passed since the first violation that prior to our hearing, a second violation was alleged for the same occurrence on March 31st. Per Section 11.8B5, slates may not be assessed violations for the same occurrence, very similar to how the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution prohibits double jeopardy. This clause prohibits the same. While the 2 violations were considered as one, the evidence and content of both violation submissions were considered within our hearing. This content would not have been part of our hearing had the original process outlined by the standing rules been followed in the first place. We asked the Senate to uphold the standing rules current concerning this discrepancy of election rules in Section 11, specifically 11.5D. Precedent shows that the Elections Committee's decision is overturned, as what happened with last year with the Bradley Baines slate. No contingency election occurs, and we just ask that the Senate uphold precedent as it comes to this concern. That all said, Nick and I, as a slate, maintain our confidence in the Elections Committee and the election process as a whole. Following our disqualification, we met with the committee chair, the WSG advisor, and members of the Election Committee. We feel that their renewed promise to uphold the WSG standing rules is genuine and truthful, and we have full faith, and we appreciate their willingness to reflect and recommit to the standing rules. We have full faith in the clerk and the committee to facilitate a fair and just executive election, and we urge you to overturn the Elections Committee's ruling while also placing your faith in them, such as we have, to serve this election in a manner that allows us to be declared a winner following Election Day. We respectfully request that the Senate overturn the committee's ruling so that we may all move forward with reinforced accountability, transparency, and fairness. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to the Patricus slate. We will now move into a 10-minute discussion, but before we do, I think it's important to clarify what we're voting on. So if you are in your standing rules, Section 11, appeals can only be based on procedure or an error that occurred within it. So as we move into discussion, let's ensure that all discussion is about procedure and not about anything else. I'll start with Advisor Bilger here to lead off discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the statement by the slate. I just wanted to communicate to the Senate that in my conversation with all 4 of the candidates that are running for election, I made it very clear that personally I apologize for my part in not following to the letter the rules. And that was an apology that came from me personally. I did not speak on behalf of the elections committee. Perhaps members of that group may feel the same way, but I was expressing mine. So I wanted to just make sure that there wasn't any confusion that it may to have appeared that I apologize on behalf of the committee, which I did not. So I appreciate the opportunity to clarify that action. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Wonderful. Very quickly, before we move into discussion, I will allow the chair and or vice chair of the elections committee to say a little something about the elections committee decision.
Begin. I'm going to read off the violation form that we've received. So it says for the day, March 13th, 2025, Smith Street is late. The person who filed it was myself, so it says Sadie West. The witness being Jordan Robinson. On March 10th, the slate reshared an Instagram post on their story, which they used for campaigning. And the photo included one member of the slate wearing a WSG article of clothing with the logo visible. It's a violation as no use of the WSG owned materials, including the logo, can be used to support campaigning. And this was on the Vote Smith Street's Instagram. And that is again section 11.5.c of standing rules. And then it was also later submitted. Again, the date was on this was 3/10/25, but I did get it much more recent than that. Again, Warren Smith and Nick Patricus. The person who filed it is Logan Carter, the witness being Isaiah Wilson. The Vote Smith Patricus official campaign shared a photo to their story where Nick Patricus is very clearly wearing a WSG logo. The violation, as per 11.5.c of the WSG standing rules, candidates and slates are not allowed to use the WSG owned materials, including the logo, and it's against 11.5.c, and they put down one as well. And the elections committee voted on them together, and I found it of a vote of 6-0 to disqualify.
If I may, I'll also jump in. Hi, my name is Chase Zerman. I'm the vice chair of the elections committee, just to clarify why I'm here and why I'm talking, so everyone understands that. Because Sadie submitted the violations, I chaired the meeting as such, and so I ensured that we were following proper procedure throughout the whole meeting and smack the gavel, the good old shebang, everything we were speaking of. Just to clarify why I'm here and why I can shed extra light to things. It appears you do not have this violation that we adjudicated in your packet, and so that's why we made sure to read it out loud for you. And it's also worth noting that there were 2 violations submitted on the same topic, and as such, you can't accrue points, obviously, for both things, or you can't be disqualified twice. And so, given the fact that the matter was the same for both violations submitted, we adjudicated it as one on both violations. So, because it's the same issue, we're not going to make the same decision twice, if that makes sense for anybody. And yeah, it's important to remember that the elections committee job is simply to adjudicate on the issue, not to make any assumptions on what WSG will do post adjudication or anything like that. It's simply just to look at the matter, look at the standing rules, say, did this break the rules? Yes, no, vote. That's what we did. And so that's just providing some clarity on that, and with that, I need questions.
Wonderful. With that, we will move into discussion. And again, before we do, all discussion has to be centered around procedure and the overturning of the decision of the elections committee. If there are any questions on that, go ahead as well. 10-minute discussion starts now. Senator Cobb?
Point of information, can I ask a question of the previous speaker? Or?
Yes, go for it.
Did the conversation of the process come up and process things, and then what was the potential process issues with this come up in the election committee meeting? And if it was, what was the elections committee, how did the election committee view that?
What process issues I would ask?
11.5D.
Like the 2 days?
Yeah, 2 days.
Do you want to answer? So, again, I'll just rephrase. Our decision is to adjudicate versus not adjudicate. Before, when we started this conversation, there were members of the elections committee that were rather tied up in the fact that that there was the 2-day rule, the standing rules had not been followed with this particular violation. And so we discussed that, but obviously we reiterated the fact that our decision is to uphold the violation or to dismiss the violation. So while there was conversation, and our consensus was, yeah, the standing rules were not, properly followed in this particular situation, we still had a decision to make on the violation. At the end of the day, it is not our job to overstep the bounds of WSG in any way, shape, or form, yet simply to adjudicate on the issue. And there are other elections committee members in the room, and I would ask them, if they would like to speak on that as well, they're more than welcome. So.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Good question.
Senator Bolt.
Am I to understand that, at least as it stands now, we're supposed to interpret the standing rules where if it does not meet in 2 business days, then the violation is void? That's just the only thing that I'm confused about, as it is open-ended.
I would say part of what we're doing here is assessing precisely that. So the elections committee decided that they were going to hear the violation. It seems as though, and the Smith-Patricus slate is more than willing to correct me, but it seems as though their argument is that the elections committee should not have convened to hear the violation, and thus an error in procedure occurred. And so, given that error in procedure occurred, we should overturn the decision of the elections committee. So we're here today to decide precisely the question you asked. The gray area stands in the hands of the Senate.
I just want to clarify, if you look on the back, there's ours. I included section 11.12A, highlighted there. Appeals will only be based on if a discrepancy in the elections process has occurred. We're not asking you whether or not the violation happened. We're not asking whether or not you believe the violation. We're just asking you if you believe a discrepancy occurred. And that's what our appeal is based on.
And
Yes.
yeah, so Nick said it really well. We made our decision. A violation occurred in the eyes of the elections committee. But your question is essentially whether or not the error made or any oversight or any other issues stated in their defense warrants overturning our decision. And that does require a 2/3 vote dissent, so it's not a small thing.
I feel uniquely compelled to ask, Jan, can you staff the computer right now?
I'm happy to do that.
I don't want the members of the slates being able to control what we're seeing.
It's boom back up, standing rules.
I got you. I just don't want anyone to question any motives of anyone.
Sure.
That was really bad.
You should be in them.
I have a question. Maybe you said it and I just tuned it out. What was the vote of the elections committee for this violation? What was the
It was
vote?
unanimous to uphold the violation.
Are there any other, Senator Plum?
So, I'm just gonna out myself here. I am a member of the elections committee, and I personally believe we did this slate wrong. We did not meet within the 2 days. We did not give them fair and due process for the standing rules and the 5th and 6th Amendments of the United States Constitution. So, I would argue that if anybody has any questions over it, please read the standing rules. And there was, I'll just already say it, there was a violation of the standing rules, and the process wasn't truly duly followed.
Advisor Bilgan?
I would just give a friendly reminder to the elections committee and those that were present, not the committee, to be careful on what you share outside of the committee. That was talked about during the closed session. Remember, it was that if we legally went to closed session as all of these things warrants because we're talking about people's behavior and reputation. So just I don't know, warning seems a little extreme, but just be thoughtful on what you share for those of us who are in that room. So that we are upholding the closed session status.
It's uniquely relevant to the folks who are in the room who are on the elections committee. I would go as far as to say we're all probably best served by acting as a Senate body. And if you're about to act as not a senator, I would say again, I was on the elections committee, insert blank, but I'm not even sure I would do that. At this point, you are here to be a senator, if you're here to be a senator. Maybe you're here to be someone else, or you're in the gallery as well. Senator Kaplan.
I believe that the matters discussed, that it's quite cut and dry. It feels that, the 2-day process was not followed, and for a remedy this severe, believe that everything should be perfect. If we're going to disqualify a slate, I'd say the maximal remedy in section 11, the remedy that everything needs to be perfect for such a remedy to be done. Otherwise, I don't think that would merit such a alteration.
Parliamentarian Errol?
I agree that the issue before the Senate is an incredibly simple one. Was there an error severe enough in the Elections Committee process that it should disqualify lead to the Senate to overturn the decision of the Elections Committee? It clearly was not. There was an error in how long it took us to convene to hear this matter, but the slates were given time to prepare. They were given time to present their defenses. We heard them and discussed them at length and decided that they had violated the standing rules in such a way that the standing rules dictated that we disqualify them. That is all. That is the beginning and end of this conversation. The slates did something, or the slate in question did something to disqualify themselves. They were disqualified. There was nothing in the process which would have changed the end result if it had been different. Therefore, the Senate should vote to uphold the decision of the Elections Committee and reject this appeal.
Any other matters of discussion? Senator Punzel?
Parliamentarian Irwin, in response to your comment, I believe though the Elections Committee should though uphold the standing rules and maintain a strict timeline. Because who are we to say, oh, they should be disqualified for not following the standing rules if they didn't follow them themselves? It seems like utter hypocrisy at that moment.
Senator Irwin, Parliamentarian Irwin, if you'd like to respond.
Thank you. The two matters are entirely separate. The Elections Committee did make an error, which we rectified as soon as possible by meeting to reconvene it. Nowhere in the standing rules does it say that any error should result in the decision of the Elections Committee being invalidated. The standing rules do say that if the slate in question does what it did, use the logo in campaign materials, they should be disqualified. The Elections Committee heard that, made their decision, and nothing in the process, including the delayed time of convening, would have changed that decision. If we had heard it 2 days after violation, as we should have, the decision would have remained the same, and so there is no reason for the Senate to overturn it.
Point of clarification. What time are we at with discussion?
We're at 4 minutes and 50 seconds. I didn't start discussion until questions stopped.
Okay.
Senator Whedon?
So, hold up on the screen right now, says if a disqualifying violation is filed. Can we clarify, was this a disqualifying violation?
It was.
It was, okay.
Senator Bull?
This is something more for the Elections Committee Chair and Vice Chair, but it's another question. Were there any discussions to hold the, to meet and hear this violation, was there a timeline, right when those were given out, or what are we looking at here? Because I know that spring break also factors into it, because we all are students. So.
Yeah, great question. So the general members of the Elections Committee, including myself, are not notified when a violation is received, what the slate is, what it says, or anything like that. To maintain confidentiality in the process, so for the most part, the chair and whoever submitted the violation, obviously, they know what the violation is when they submit it. The chair and the advisor typically are the only ones who know. So timeline-wise, I'll yield my
The way most violations work is that you hold them until, and I can bring it up in the standing rules, until after the polls are closed, and there's a whole timeline of notification and when the violation hearing happens. So that's what the typical, because I don't want to say, but I will say precedent of every election is that unless it's a disqualifying, you hold it until after the actual election and you adjudicate them as a committee prior to you doing the ballot counting, right? So if you don't remember the last part of that sentence where it says within 2 business days if it's disqualifying, that's where the rub is that usually the clerk pulls them, they scan them, they label them, and they wait. So that's why it wasn't about availability of the committee. The committee has been incredibly committed to meeting quorum every time it's been asked. So it wasn't that type of thing.
Senator Carr.
Yeah, going back into discussion about this, I do believe that, after reading, their appeal on that, I do believe that the standing rules were not followed because, as you can see highlighted up there, it says if a disqualification violation is filed, the election committee will meet and hear the violation within 2 business days. And they do state that in their thing. And seeing how the first violation was before spring break and everything like that, that the elections committee still had time to meet before spring break to determine this. So yeah.
Just so no one's confused, I am focusing mostly on Senate package right now, as I think the Senate discussion is the most relevant, unless a question's asked directly to the slate or to the elections. Thank you. Senator Gross.
So again, looking at the appeal, I would say it is just very clear that standing rules were not followed. I think it's our job as student government to follow and to the rules that were written for us. If we start not following the standing rules now, what's going to happen if something issue is going to be found later on, and then we decide, oh, we're not going to follow those standing rules? What is the point of the standing rules if we don't follow them? And I think in this case, we should uphold the standing rules, and because clearly it was not, the violations were not heard. Was it 2 days after? The standing rules weren't followed, therefore we need to correct that as soon as possible.
Senator Bull.
Follow up to my previous question. Hopefully directed at Advisor Jan or C. Whoever. So thank you for that clarification. First of all, that's awesome. But like, was there when that had become filed, like the original violation, when that had been filed and like was even like there's notification of, was there a discussion started of the elections committee meeting to discuss it, or what? Okay, I'm seeing your
Let me answer what I think your question is. Is everybody having trouble hearing, or is it just me? It could just be me. So it could be hearing the projector. And please, Clerk West, correct me. The violation came in, it was labeled, right? That was prior to candidate validation. So we didn't have, in some interpretations, I don't know what date, right, they started campaigning. I don't know, sorry, that's not really relevant. But we didn't even have a validated slate. So we just held them. I mean, I'll own my own thing. I could not have quoted that standing rule then, but I sure can now. That was just something that's what practice has always been. You label them, you save them, you just keep going. And then when it was brought to the attention of the clerk of the oversight, they jumped right on it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. I have one more, if that's all right.
I'd like to make a brief motion to extend discussion by 4 minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
Senator Whitman.
Second.
Wonderful. Can I get a voice vote?
Acclamation.
Any opposed? Once going twice, seeing none, with that time's been extended by 4 minutes. Senator Bull.
So, okay, and I'm just trying to connect the dots here. Was it something where it had been, was it an oversight because there's only, how many disqualifying violations are there in the standing rules? Do you know off the top of your head?
4.
Actually,
I was going the wrong way.
11-5.
Here are all the things that can disqualify. control.
Everyone wants to take a look.
Can everybody read it, or do you want me to summarize it? So if they break any part of section 11.4, right? 11.8. If they falsified information, right? If they, it's all on there. I guess I don't need to read it. C is the one with the question. D is because it's just lower and it's behind Doug's head. D is the one that says they'll adjudicate it immediately or within 2 days. E is election chair must notify the candidate of the reason for the disqualification in writing, and that every candidate will have the right to appeal. That help? You can look it up in your binders too, because you should have a copy from the executive board for 11.5 is what you want to look at.
Parliamentarian Earl.
It seems to be the understanding of some of my colleagues that if there was any discrepancy, then the decision by the elections committee should be overturned. This is not what the standing rules says. It says if there is a discrepancy, an appeal can be made. It is then up to us to decide whether or not that discrepancy impaired our ability, or not our, the elections committee's ability to make a decision. In this situation, it did not. There was a problem with the time we convened. Yes, that did not affect the final outcome of our decision. So the discrepancy did not affect the final outcome of the decision. So the appeal should be rejected, as the discrepancy it's made on did not have a larger impact on the decision of the committee.
Is there any other discussion? Smith, Patrice.
With all due respect, we do believe that we cannot know what the elections committee would have ruled had they followed the standing rules, particularly in our case, given that there were 2 violations with different images submitted as evidence and different verbiage submitted in the violation. The second one submitted outside of the 2 business day timeline. We cannot know if our case was adjudicated correctly.
Any other discussion? Parliamentarian.
We can know. The facts did not change. An image was taken of a candidate wearing the logo of WSG. It was posted to a campaign account. The facts are simple. The timeline that the committee met in did not change any of those facts. It did not change the arguments made in defense. It did not change the discussion had by the committee. The appeal should be rejected.
I don't necessarily know how to say this properly, so I'm just going to keep it short. I strongly disagree with that stance and that thing. You can't say that, you cannot figure out what the past would have been if situations were different. You can't speculate on that. What we know now is this happened. It's our job not to speculate on the past if these decisions were made or were not made. It's these decisions were made. Here's all the information. Now we decide on the present, not on the possibilities of what could have happened in the past.
Senator Park?
To clarify, and that I agree with what Senator Gross just said because of the fact that it wasn't upheld in the standing rules. Yeah, the elections committee voted the way they did, but it states right there in the standing rules, if a disqualification violation is filed, they need to meet and hear within 2 business days, and that. And even though we can go back and forth to say it was adjudicated or not, the standing rules were violated, and yeah.
We've reached the end of the 4-minute extension. Is there anyone interested in making a motion to extend discussion? Senator Kaplan. All right. With that, we will end discussion. We will move into a roll call vote. A vote of aye will be a vote in favor of overturning the elections committee's decision. So it'll be a vote in favor of the Smith-Patricus appeal request, which means a vote of aye, just so we rephrase, a vote of aye will be allowing the Smith-Patricus slate to continue in the election and overturn the decision of the elections committee. Are there any questions on that before we move forward? Senator Bolt.
Point of clarification, as Patricus is part of the Smith-Patricus slate, will that affect the 2/3 vote?
I'm really glad you asked. So this is a good general reminder to the body as well. Every senator is welcome to vote however they like. However, if for any reason someone in the room might have a monetary incentive to vote in a certain way, it is, I would not only argue, ethical priority, but legal obligation to abstain.
But other than that, you should vote aye or nay.
Huh?
But other than that, you should.
Other than that, you should assuredly vote aye or nay. Like, do not abstain if that's not you.
You can say pass.
You can say pass. Do not abstain if that is not you. Any other questions on what a vote of aye or what a vote of nay means? I'm going to give this a second. Once and twice, seeing none. All right, with that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Senator Bolt,
Pass.
Senator Carter,
Aye.
Senator Irwin,
Nay.
Senator Esterholm,
Aye.
Senator Gross. Aye. Senator Gutzoff,
Aye.
Senator Houston,
Aye.
Senator Colvin,
Aye.
Senator Keebler.
Aye.
Senator Kelleher,
Aye.
Senator Kirikopoulos. Aye. Senator Patricus,
Madam Clerk, I will abstain.
Senator Punzel,
Aye.
Senator Purnell,
Aye.
Senator Reber,
Aye.
Senator Reyes,
Aye.
Senator Schmidt,
Aye.
Senator Wiesen,
Aye.
Speaker Wilson,
Nay.
Senator Bolt.
It's 16 to 2 to 1.
The vote is 16 to 2 to 1. The appeal has passed, and the decision of the Elections Committee has been overturned. With that, we will move into our next agenda item, that being the Bradley Bayne Elections Committee appeal.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I will first pull up the violation. Everybody can take a view at that. If you can't read it, I can read it to you. Can everybody read that okay? It's also in your packet, so see if you want to read it. Also in your packet was the photo attached that led to the violation. Alrighty, so I stand before you today to officially appeal the decision made by the 2025 Executive Election Committee. On the 2nd of April, in a 4-2 vote, the Election Committee voted to disqualify my slate, citing 11.5C of the current WSG standing rules. The accused violation took place on the 13th of March and was officially filed soon after. The problem? The accused violation, disqualifying violation, was heard by the committee 20 days or 14 business days after its filing. Per 11.5D of the current WSG standing rules, Any disqualifying violations must be heard within 2 business days of their filing. By the committee hearing and upholding this violation and in turn disqualifying our slate during our bid for re-election, the committee broke the WSG standing rules. It is my opinion that it's the duty of this body to overturn the committee's decision on the grounds of a clear violation of the standing rules. The committee should have never have heard this violation. That said, Parker and I, as a slate, still have full faith in the WSG clerk, the elections committee, to facilitate a fair and just executive election. Following our disqualification, we met with the committee chair, WSG advisor, and members of the elections committee. We have accepted their apology and feel the revamped promise to follow the WSG standing rules is genuine and truthful. We urge you to overturn the election committee's ruling while also placing your faith in them, such as we have, to serve through this election in a manner that allows the slate to be declared a winner following election day. Thank you, and I'll yield to Chair, Vice Chair, any questions?
Chair, Vice Chair, if you'd like to go through, you have the floor.
Great, I'll read off the violations provided, even though you have a copy of it in your packet. So it was dated 03/13/25 for the Bradley Baines slate. I was one who filed it, and then the witness being Jordan Robinson. On March 10th, the slate shared an Instagram post on their story of the Instagram used for campaigning. The photo includes a WSG bill on the back. This is both using our logo and property for campaigning. This is a violation as no use of the WSG owned materials, including the WSG logo, can be used to support campaigning. This was on the Bradley Bain 2025 Instagram account, and it is again, election in Rule 11.5C. And then the vote that was decided on this one was 4-2 for disqualification.
Again, I'm here as the vice chair, just speaking on behalf because I was given that the clerk was the one who submitted the violation. They should not be adjudicating on violations, so I chaired the meeting and ran it as such, and so I'm here to ask, answer, help with the process as best I can, just like we did last time.
Wonderful. With that, we will move into a 10-minute discussion. I'd like to start by reminding everybody of what Advisor Billigan said at the start last time, which was that she's not apologizing for the decision of the elections committee, and instead just mentioning it in her side. And I'll actually start off discussion this time. I disagree with the Bradley Bain appeal, but I think given what our body just did, it would be severely unfair to vote nay this time around. I think that for a myriad of reasons, that the 2-day oversight doesn't have much relevance on whether or not the elections committee would have made a different decision. And to be frank, I think we got the last one wrong. But because we got the last one wrong, I think it's probably important to get this one wrong too. So I would encourage the body to vote aye. Senator Carter.
Going off of that, I mean, Speaker Wilson, you took it right out of my mouth. I mean, we just did this process, and reading this and that, this is the same thing. I mean, they're appealing the same process and everything like that, and I do think it would be unfair if we voted one way for one slate and then voted another way for another slate. I just feel like to make a fair and equal election, and that way our student body can hear both perspectives, I do feel like that if we voted that certain way for that one slate, we should vote that certain way for another slate.
Senator Cobb.
I'll keep this brief. I think we've already set precedent with the current issue. If we, again, everyone else has said this, I presume everyone else is going to say this. Knowing how we voted previously, I think there is no way with justification we can vote otherwise for this, as we have clearly determined that violating the two, at least for the precedent for this selection, that violating the 2-day rule disqualifies the violation. Whether or not that's the right ruling, that is not the matter here. The matter is applying what has just been done.
I'd also like to point out too, like, first of all, I'd like Bradley Bame, slate for actually clarifying how many days it took for the actual hearing. I don't recall that was in the previous appeal. However, though, I would have to concur with the previous senators. There was a gross oversight, and we are debating the process that took place, and the process was not fully followed. So I concur with previous senators.
So just a point of information. So 11.5C states that you can't use the WSG logo when campaigning. Is there a timeline of when campaigning actually starts?
I think the election committee made a decision on that.
We did. Our inference of the standing rules and our decision before we heard anything was that from the moment you announced social media to somebody in person, whatever, to the masses, that's the moment you start campaigning. Whether or not your signatures are validated or not, your intention to campaign, your intention to uphold the standing rules starts from your first post or your first, like, hey, hot dog, I'm campaigning type of deal. So.
Parliamentary member.
We mustn't allow a previous decision on this matter to be the only deciding factor when making this one. Here are the facts before us. The Elections Committee decided that a slate committed a violation and they were disqualified for it. Was there an error which made that disqualification invalid? The answer is clearly no. There was a lapse in the amount of time when we should have heard it. That is all. I do not believe that is serious enough to overturn, to act as if a slate never committed a disqualifiable offense. The Senate's only option here is to uphold the decision of the election committee so that at least some measure of justice will be carried out by this body today.
Vice Chair Zimmer?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm sort of bouncing between hats here as a person who's been in the org and has a lot of history, and then also as the vice chair. If you choose to not vote the same as you did in the last one, given that the contextual nature of this is the exact same, then, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're completely overriding the precedent you just sent. That's like, it's like, doesn't make any sense when you think about parliamentary procedure or anything like that. Unless you choose to re-vote on the one you just did, that would be the only way that you should be voting against. Because I would call it, if I was last slate, I would call the question, that last vote, or anything like that. I would seriously challenge the process if you choose to vote differently on this one. And that is coming from elections vice chair Chase, and that's coming from past.
It can only come from elections vice chair Chase.
It's coming from Chase. So, that's what I got.
Senator Carter?
I just want to go back to what Advisor Billigan said before. This violation happened before they were technically validated. So, like, we don't know when their signatures got in or anything like that. So technically they could have not been validated, like their signatures could have been validated, if you get what I'm saying. So
I believe the elections committee did determine that they were a slate at this point because they were campaigning.
To clarify, if I may, we determined that they were candidates. If you look at the standing rules, the rules we have apply to candidates. So we determined that campaigning started when they started running for the presidency and vice presidency. That's when they became candidates, and therefore the rules apply to them.
Sure, Wes.
On our elections committee minutes, there was a motion made to hold candidates accountable from the day they began campaigning, and it unanimously passed.
Senator Cap.
Just a point of information as well. I believe it was also discussed that, or actually just a point, this was also on a specified campaigning. This was Parker Bain 2025, correct? Or vote Parker Bain or something along this.
Just in your packet, if you want to take a look, there's a great.
Bradley Bain 2025.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify. Yeah, for the record, that is what it was on.
Yeah. Senator Wheaton.
Can I get a point of clarification from what the clerk said? When the way you said it made it seem like this violation was in the beginning of their being candidates. Is that correct? That's just the way I received it, maybe not.
The committee decided to have a vote on whether or not to hold candidates accountable from before their slate was actually validated by the committee.
For this reason? Or for this violation?
We knew we needed to have a meeting, and we needed to schedule a public meeting,
Okay.
and so we answered all the questions relevant for that meeting prior to that meeting, so that no one had any bias going into it.
Okay. And then could I add one more thing quick?
Yeah.
Speaker. Personally, seeing that though the slate did make have a violation, seeing that the committee also made a violation, to me they cancel each other out. And also, again, what points have been made, if you voted aye in the last one, it would be silly to vote opposite in this race.
Mr. Bradley?
Sure, I was going to discuss that it is my personal belief that Senator Irwin's reasoning is flawed. This case would have not been heard. It should not have been heard since it was past 2 days, right? It doesn't matter. Keeps comparing what would have happened, what did happen. It wouldn't have happened. This committee should not have heard this. We're not hearing it within 2 days. That committee forfeited their right to hear this violation, and those on the elections committee and who made this vote broke their oath of office by violating the standing rules. This is clear cut, and it's the exact same reasoning as the previously made.
Firstly, if you have a section of the standing rules which said we shouldn't have heard it after the 2 days, I invite you to point that out. And if you don't, it's up to the elections committee to decide ambiguity in the rules. So, and secondly, there seems to be a great deal of comparison between the two violations. One was a violation by the elections committee which delayed a meeting. The other was a violation which it is specified, the punishment of which is disqualification. These are not two equatable violations. One clearly has a greater effect on the org and the students of this campus, and I believe that unless the elections committee did something far more severe than a delaying a meeting, we should uphold their decision and reject the appeal of the Bradley Bain slate. Goodness.
I'd like to make a quick motion to extend discussion by 4 minutes. Can I get a second? Senator Calvin?
Second.
Wonderful. Can I get a voice vote?
Acclamation.
Any opposed? Senator Carter?
No, I'm okay.
With that, we'll move to a roll call vote. Are there any opposed? Everyone's going to try to see now. Okay, wonderful. We can extend by 4 minutes. Senator Carter.
Parliamentarian Erwin, based on your last thing, if you look at 11.5D, it states if a disqualification violation is filed, the elections committee will meet and hear the violation within 2 business days. So I do believe that the elections committee did break the standing rules based on that information right there, which is in writing. So I don't know what else to say, and since this was a disqualification violation, it obviously was not in the 2 business days that this was filed.
To be completely fair to you, Senator Carter, I think Parliamentarian Irwin's point was that the standing rules does not say whether or not it should be heard after that 2-day period has passed. But when he asks to cite it, it's extremely relevant. In fact, I think he's correct. I don't think he's correct in that we should vote nay because of the action the body just took. Although I think he makes a convincing argument, and that's why I think we just took the wrong vote. But Vice Chair Zimmerman made a great point in that I think we would be extremely unjustified in changing what our body thinks based on what we did roughly 16 minutes ago, in which I encouraged the body to vote aye this time around. Senator Keller.
Going off of the speaker's point, I think parliamentarian Irwin's logic is sound. I think we possibly made the wrong decision in the last vote, but voting a different way in this one would hurt the integrity of the entire election. It'd be completely unfair for two slates to get treated opposite. So while parliamentarian Irwin has sound logic, and I agree with it, it does not make sense to vote that way now.
Parliamentarian Irwin, respond.
The body has already harmed the integrity of the election by overturning the decision of the elections committee. The only thing we can do now is either try to prevent ourselves from taking further action against the integrity of the election, or to uphold the elections committee decision and thus defend what's left of the integrity of the election.
Senator Cohen.
Point of information, or just can I ask two questions of the vice chair of the elections committee?
Yes.
Again, with this discussion, did the question of process come up in the meeting?
Yes.
What was the committee's response to that question?
Essentially, it's not our job to determine whether or not the process was followed in this moment. Our job is to adjudicate on the violation, so we did that. We did not overstep WSG in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you.
Senator Fund.
Also, I feel like if the elections committee is to make a decision, we at least owe the slates a proper, fair, and due process. Like it's been reiterated countless times, we are not debating the violation. We are debating the process in which the elections committee took, which was wrongful and not followed to the letter, especially for something as severe as a disqualification.
Senator Hughes.
And again, I just want to reiterate that, Blake said that, voting opposite to the first decision that we made would, at least, serve to, serve, I guess, more integrity, give us more integrity to, following the stating rules. But even if we did make a violation to the stating rules in the previous ruling, I feel that changing our vote and voting changing our vote and voting nay in a very similar ruling would actually damage our integrity and reputation, because it would just, as everyone has already said, it would be a very unfair, and that we would make, a different ruling for very, very similar instances.
To allow Senator Calvin to speak, I'll make a motion to extend discussion. Never mind. Is there any other discussion? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, with that, we'll move to a roll call vote. Just so everybody, I know we just did it, but just so everybody understands, a vote of aye will be a vote in favor of overturning the elections committee's decision and allowing the Bradley Davis slate to continue. Any vote of nay will be a vote in favor of keeping the elections committee decision as it was decided. Makes sense to everybody? Seeing none. With that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Senator Carter.
Aye.
Senator Irwin.
Nay.
Senator Esterholm.
Aye.
Senator Gross.
Aye.
Senator Gosselin.
Aye.
Senator Houston.
Aye.
Senator Calvin.
Aye.
Senator Keebler.
Aye.
Senator Kelleher.
Aye.
Senator Kurikopoulos. Aye. Oh, sorry. It's okay. Senator Patricus.
Madam Clerk, I will again abstain.
Senator Punzel.
Aye.
Senator Brunel.
Aye.
Senator Reber.
Aye.
Senator Reyes.
Aye.
Senator Schmidt.
Aye.
Senator Wheatman.
Aye.
Speaker Wilson.
Aye.
And Senator Bolt.
In a vote of 17 to 1 to 1, the Bradley Daines Elections Committee appeal has passed, and thus the Bradley Daines slate remains in the election. With that, we'll move on to guest speakers, of which we have none. On to approval of the agenda minutes, starting with the minutes from March 31st, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve? Senator Carter.
Motion approved.
Can I get a second? You're good. Senator Calvin.
Second.
Wonderful. Can I get a voice vote?
Aye.
Opposed? Senator Volt. Wonderful. Without moving to a roll call vote, we can, I assume we are going to wait. I would like to wait to see Senator Bull, what Senator Bull's amendments or reason for waiting would be, and of which we should vote nay. Are there any, is there anyone opposed?
This is a mess. Just to clarify, someone wants to make amendments. They can't do that because we've already motioned to approve it. So please vote nay on this motion if you want a senator to have a chance to make amendments, which might be extremely important given the that this is our official record. So there you are.
I completely agree with
Please vote nay. Roll's gonna be called, please vote nay.
Point of information. So we're voting nay on his objection, or are we
No,
voting
we're
nay
voting, we're
on
voting nay on the motion to
Okay.
pass the minutes,
I
so
just-
that Senator Bull can make amendments.
I just wanted.
And you know, you can vote however you like. I'm not telling you how to vote. We're encouraging you. I'm encouraging you to vote that way. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Senator Bull,
Nay.
Senator Carter,
Nay.
Senator Irwin,
Nay.
Senator Esterl, nay. Senator Gross, nay. Senator Gottsov,
Nay.
Senator Houston,
Nay.
Senator Calvin,
Nay.
Senator Keebler,
Nay.
Senator Keller,
Nay.
Senator Kiriakopoulos, nay. Senator Patricus,
Nay.
Senator Kunkel,
Nay.
Senator Purnell,
Nay.
Senator Reaver,
Nay.
Senator Reyes,
Nay.
Senator Schmidt,
Nay.
Senator Wheaton,
Nay.
Speaker Wilson.
Nay. And with that, the approval of the minutes for March 31st, 2025 has failed unanimously. With that, we will move back into item A, minutes for March 31st, 2025. Does anybody have a motion to amend the agenda, the minutes maybe? Senator Bolt?
Motion to amend the minutes to accurately reflect Senator Kiriakopoulos' status from freshman to sophomore.
All right. Is anybody interested in seconding that motion? Senator Calvin? Wonderful. With that, we'll move into discussion. Deputy Speaker Patrice.
I'd just like to remind members of the body to maintain decorum.
Wonderful. Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we'll move into a roll call vote on the amendment. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll? Ready, ready.
Senator Carter,
Aye.
Senator Irwin,
Aye.
Senator Esterl,
Aye.
Senator Gross,
Aye.
Senator Gottsov,
Aye.
Senator Houston,
Aye.
Senator Calvin,
Aye.
Senator Keebler,
Aye.
Senator Keller,
Aye.
Senator Kiriakopoulos,
Aye.
Senator Patricus,
Aye.
Senator Kunkel,
Aye.
Senator Purnell,
Aye.
Senator Reaver,
Aye.
Senator Reyes,
Aye.
Senator Schmidt,
Aye.
Senator Wheaton,
Aye.
Speaker Wilson,
Aye.
and Senator Bull.
And with that, the minutes from March 31st, 2025 have been amended accordingly. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Senator Carter?
Motion to approve.
Seconded by Senator Calvin. Can I get a voice vote?
Acclamation.
Opposed? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, the minutes from March 31st, 2025 have been approved unanimously. With that, we'll move on to item B, agenda for April 7th, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve or amend? Senator Bolt.
Motion to amend the agenda for today. Section 8A3, Warhawk Dining Advisory rather than Warhawk Dinning Advisory.
Can I get a second? Senator Keebler? Can I get a voice vote on the motion? Wonderful. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the amendment is made accordingly. Any other amendments to the agenda? Once going twice, seeing none, with that, we'll move into approval on the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve? Senator Hunt.
I'm going to approve the agenda.
Seconded by Senator Houston.
Wonderful. Can I get a voice vote?
Acclamation.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the agenda from April 7th, 2025 has been approved. With that, we'll move to student initiative concerns. Are there any student initiative concerns tonight in the gallery? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, with that, we'll move to reports, starting with external committee reports. Starting with the report on international education. Senator Gross, you have the floor.
I shared it with you in your drive.
Alright, hello everyone. I'll try to keep this brief. I apologize if it may not be. Alright, so International Education Committee met on January 4th. So the first one is discussion about international student visas and immigration status. I would like to please note before I say this, that this is an ever-changing issue and concern. What has happened like an hour ago might not be relevant now. So with that being stated, kind of over the entire country with international students, there's been some concerns of international students' visas and immigration statuses being revoked. WSG-Whitewater, we're checking the database every single day to make sure that all of our international students' visas and immigration statuses are up to date. So far, we have not seen any of our international students face any of these challenges. And with our international students, the mood has been more calm and students are getting involved and we're getting very excited. With the Global Ambassador Program and ISA, global ambassador applications have closed in March, and this has been one of the best candidate pools so far. ISA is looking for a new director, and then overall the program is in a pretty good place and is excited about the upcoming year. The study abroad program, majority of the summer and fall study abroad applications are in. There was $12,000 worth of scholarships that have been given out. Study abroad interests and applications have been steadily rising, and faculty-led study abroad program interest has slightly lowered both on faculty and student interest. And then some upcoming events. There's a study abroad table at Rock on April 9th, and International Children's Day is on April 12th. This event is mainly meant for younger, like elementary school children. However, all is welcome to go, and with that, I thank you.
Any questions? I do have one. So I am aware that the open forums for the director of global education happened like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Do you know when they're looking to announce a candidate or a new position holder?
That was not covered in the meeting, so I don't have any notes on that.
No worries. Any other questions?
Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we'll move into the report from the UC Advisory Board.
Senator Bowl, to the floor. Oh, this is gonna get messy quick.
Okay.
I want to talk to Kyle today. And I said we could.
Oh, perfect.
It's okay. What great idea.
Senator Bolt, you have the floor. Good evening, everyone. The UC Advisory Board met this past Friday, April 4th at 10 a.m. in UC 259, it's this room. We opened by reminding everyone present that the UC form is currently sent out to the student body. As of that Thursday, I believe, we already had roughly 300 students fill it out, so let's keep that number going. However, like I just said, we should keep that train running and continue promotion until the end date, which is April 30th. There is a question on that form pertaining to WSG, if they know about us, and etc. So please help them out. Please help them, and in turn, you'll help us. Following up to our previous meeting about policy discussion, there were a few suggestions to changes that should be made. There is currently a lack of transparency about the reservation process for any UC rooms/facilities in the facility use policy, and there will be added verbiage to remedy that. In the future, please keep an eye out on our upcoming agendas, as the facility use policy is something that does come through us, WSG, before it is put into place. For more details on the policies that are reviewed, please don't hesitate to seek me out. I hope everyone is excited to become familiar with the new face on campus. Today, as well as this Wednesday, the 9th, open interviews for Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs / Dean of Students have begun. SAI has been working diligently as ever, and April is going to be no exception for them. Some of these events coming up include Make a Difference Day, April 25th. There are opportunities inside and outside of Whitewater. They need volunteers for site supervision. Greek Community Standards is going to be from April 28th to May 3rd. Greek chapters will be presenting on how their years went, scored from does not meet expectations to exceeds expectations. And finally, Involvement Awards, May 4th in the UC Ballroom. I'd like to give a little bit of recognition to our own Jan Bilgan, as well as all of SAI, for last week's phenomenal Greek week. To end my report, I'd also like to give thanks to Senator Wheaton. This report will be the last for the UC Advisory Report for the semester, and it was great to be able to visit here. With that, I yield my report.
Any questions for Senator Bowles' amazing and heartwarming report? Senator Calvin.
Was there a target? You said the survey had 300 respondents. What is the target that the university is trying to hit in respondent numbers?
Just because 1,000 is the goal doesn't mean that's the only stopping point.
Y'all need
Senator
to
Carter.
find at least 10.
What was the decision on the downstairs renovations? Like, did they give out any names or anything like that? And
Are you referring to the Down Under?
Yes.
It will be staying as the Down Under. I believe we're still looking at furniture as the current last source. Again, because it is brought up, thank you, Senator Carter. If any discussion of Down Under is brought up, please stress it is a concept. Among a lot of other things, if it's not set in stone, we cannot guarantee anything to the student body.
Fair Whitney.
Never mind.
Any other questions? Once, twice, seeing none, with that, we're on to the Warhawk Dining Advisory Committee report.
Alright, so we met last Friday for the dining committee meeting. We discussed quite a few things, so let's just get right into it. So we addressed a bunch of meal plan concerns. There's been a large amount of phone calls to the Hawk Card office, so there was discussion about, because they all kind of related to one specific meal plan, Flex Meals, so there was a lot of discussion about that and how we can, if we can get the word out more, and the ending discussion was there's no more that we can do, it's up to the people to read the descriptions of the meal plans, because of the complaints that were made. There's a lot of talk around food waste, so there's a possible future internship to find, and the goal of the intern would be to find a solution for the food waste as we have an alarming amount. There's also brought up composting. Unfortunately on campus, the garden can only use so much compost, so they're trying to find other ways to get rid of the food or do something with the food waste so we're not wasting it all. There is currently been a study on our amount of food waste consumption and how we can educate our students on how to prevent it. So I'll talk about it later in the report, but it's going to be a WSG and Dining Stop Food Waste Day on April 30th. And so there'll be more to come on how we can help spread awareness. And I should have written down a number. My apologies that I didn't, but it was an alarming amount of pounds of food each semester.
6,000.
Yeah, over 6,000.
About 1.5 pounds of food waste per person this semester.
About 1.5 pounds of food waste per person per each semester. And who's on the meal plan, yes. So there was talk about how we can try to educate students instead of taking 6 pieces of fish and then not liking any of it and throwing it away, taking 1 piece or a half of a piece, trying it, and then going back to the line and getting more. Other conversations like that. We addressed food concerns and overall experiences in the dining halls, and the dining is Warhawk Dining is encouraging employees to ask the students in dining halls about their food quality and experience in the dining halls and retail locations and how it can be improved if needed, and then also vice versa. So if you don't like your food, tell a manager, tell a staff member. If there's something with your experience, notify them. That's the best way to get a problem solved.
Was
gonna comment on that specific. It's important to note, you can tell your constituents, this isn't your mother or your aunt or your papa cooking for you, and just the way you like it. This is a chef making it for dozens and dozens of students. So, more reason to be cautious of how much you take in one serving. We saw on Friday, students take a lot of tilapia, they didn't like it, they threw it away, right? This might not be, you might like tilapia generally, you don't know how they're making it, so start slow. And share it with your constituents as well. They do their best to make something most people will like, doesn't mean you're always gonna like it. It might be a little different than the last time they've even made it, right? If you've been a week ago, it might be a little different this time around. So always start with small portion sizes, and you can always go back.
Deputy Speaker, would you?
I've been hearing issues with the mobile ordering app.
You done? Mr. Speaker, we're not done yet. Or this report's not done yet.
Yeah, I apologize. I thought it was just on my right hand. I actually have something about the mobile app, so so last time I was here, I discussed the NACUFS survey. Now we have the results, so they were discussed. We have had the best results since 2020. They were really good results. Our university was higher ranked by the results. And through the results, like I said last time, we are going to be able to see what locations will go up and down, and that we did. And now we are currently looking and working on tackling the results that went down or maybe stayed the same and finding out their why they stayed the same, why did they decrease. And actually some of the decreases started conversations, being some of the things personally are more favorable locations or experiences to me than others. So seeing other opinions is really interesting. So we took a look at those. Like Corey mentioned, Senator Bowl mentioned with the UC committee meeting, Down Under is staying the Down Under. There was a lot of discussion to change the name of the Down Under, and personally I'm excited to say that it's staying the same, so we don't have to learn a new name. It can stay the same. You can keep the nickname that you had for it, but speaking of name changes, seeing this will save us a name change because now we have a new name change because we are changing the name of meal equivalency. This has been discussed for a while now, and the biggest challenge with the meal equivalency itself is the word meal. So it's being changed to retail equivalency swipe. When you hear the word meal, you immediately think chicken tenders, french fries, a drink, maybe even something else. You think it's something fulfilling that will be the size of a fulfilling dinner to last you through the night. The purpose of the swipe, of the meal swipe, is to A, go to a dining location, specifically a dining hall, Drumlin or Esker, or Ike Schaefer Commons in the morning or at lunch, to get that fulfilling meal. And then there's that second part that we decided on last year, doing the equivalency part, so $7.50. So you can go to a retail location like, you could go to Willie's and get a coffee and a bagel. And then whatever's left, because when you go to Starbucks, coffee and a bagel isn't $7.50 either. Starbucks is literally $12.50 for that. So thinking about it, comparing, you would have to pay some out of pocket, and that was the purpose of the swipe, so that's why they're changing it, as the word retail will show and tell the story behind the swipe being the first place of meal or little extra needs and wants. Do you have a comment? No. Sorry. They also consolidated all the dining apps inside of the mobile ordering app, which will include checking your hot card balance, Reuse Pass, which is the to-go containers meal app, and then also menus. So it's all in one app instead of going to the link tree and going to all the different locations. It's all in one place. Currently, weekend dining hall services switch from Esker to Drumlin every semester. Last semester was Esker. Now it's Drumlin, and then on Sundays it goes back to the normal schedule in the evening. That is going to be changing starting next semester. It will only be Esker on the weekend services, seeing as Esker is closest to the majority of the resident halls, as well as West and East are the largest dining halls, residence halls. Specific Warhawk dining updates. There's going to be music in dining hall. There is music in dining halls in Esker through the Rockbot, and it's now set up in Drumlin, so you can request songs through Drumlin. They're working on other locations. Currently, or last semester for the Ike Schaefer lunches, you were able to vote on a concept. So the choice was tacos, Now, in a few weeks, we'll be getting a new chance to vote on other options. So tacos will change, and then that dining part of Ike's will change frequently throughout the semesters to come. And then finally, some dining dates that you guys can share with students. There's a color color lunch tomorrow, the 8th in Esker, from 11 to 2. Starting tomorrow, weather permitting, the food trailer will be starting where it is right here in the UC, what is that called?
North Mall.
North Mall, thank you. Esker Teaching Kitchen will be doing a Caesar salad dressing class on April 15th. Drumlin, that's not a word, sorry. WSG, oh, it is a word.
I noticed that, you spelled it wrong.
Drumlin will be having a luau, April 24th. And the WSG and the dining, and We're Off Dining will be having a Stop Food Waste Day, April 30th. When we get more information, I encourage you all to participate, as not only is our name in the title of the event, but it's really important to make students aware of what we're doing and how they're impacting not only campus, but the environment. And to that, I yield to the speaker for questions.
You're full. Any questions before we move into them very quickly? That Stop Food Waste event, as you mentioned it during my report, seems relevant here. If you're interested in that, it's going to be in a little while, but if you're interested in volunteering and working the table, I can tell you details. Just come see me after the meeting. President Bradley?
Who here is on a meal plan? Who here thinks, as a senator, they likely represent somebody who's also on a meal plan? When you sign up for your meal plan, you signed a contract that you are going to eat most at a dining hall. That meal plan is designed to be used in an all-you-can-eat facility, either Drumlin or Esker. Chartwell's realized that sometimes you're busy, sometimes there are other things going on, so what they wanted to give you is $7.50 to use at a retail location should you be on the go. That's where we get the retail equivalency swipe. It was never meant to get you a full meal, because you signed a contract saying you're going to go to a dining hall whenever you can, and that's kind of a supplemental swipe. We and Chartwell's made an error by including the word meal in there last semester, so it's going to be a challenge for us on the dining side and you as senators to kind of help educate your constituents that it's not a meal equivalency, it is a dollar amount equivalency, and if we want to get to technicalities, you're technically making money when you spend a meal swipe. You only pay somebody, I don't know if WP Tricus, you know, it's only $6-something you're paying per swipe, and it gets you $7.50 to retail location. $6.80? $6.80 you're paying, you get $7.50. So if you have a constituent come, all I have to say, if you have a constituent come to you, let them know that they've signed a document saying they're going to go to dining halls and they have $7.50 in case they can't make it or they have a late night or something, and they're also making money. Right? We hear a lot about students who complain that $7.50 isn't enough. Hopefully that'll help you as senators and help better inform your constituents.
Senator Carter?
Off of the talking to dining, also they state that not a lot of students know about it, but there's a text to chat thing. So if you have social anxiety or something like that, or you don't want to speak to someone, you can literally just text the number and just say, like I used it the other day saying, hey, you're out of ketchup. And the response was like, thank you for letting us know. We'll get right to that. And like 2 seconds later, the ketchup was refilled. So please use that to the advantage.
Senator Reed?
I'd like to echo off President Bradley's last point and just say we're all students, and current students in SOAR programs are being told that the swipe is the retail equivalency swipe. So our duty as WSG senators is to spread the message to all current students staying on campus next semester or having a meal plan next semester and the following semesters after that, that it's changing. The purpose of it, they're still getting $7.50 and they're still going to be using it the same way that they have. Simply the name is being changed, so the problems that we're facing now, or complaints that we're facing now, aren't going to increase by much because the word retail and meal mean the same different things, and so people coming in are going to be different. So that's all I have to say.
Mr. Bradley?
Senator Carter, is it true if I send a text to chat message at a dining hall or any location, it is impossible for any worker there to get my information or even my phone number, and their system won't even track my phone number.
That is correct, President Bradley.
Senator Bolt?
Was it discussed about the percent of students who live on the east side versus west side when dining decided to change it from Esker-Drumlin to Esker-Esker?
Yes, because if you think about it, Wells East and West have 10 floors. Is it 10 or is it 12?
10.
It's 10 floors, and on the other side there's not, and it's the same amount of buildings. So there are more students. In how many minutes? Do you have anything else to add, President?
Yeah.
President Bradley?
We also have data that shows us on the weekends, or rather on weekdays when both are open, many students from the Six Pack and Pulliam actually go to Esker instead of Drumlin. So not only are there more students that live closer, we do have data to prove that many students are traveling and choosing Esker as their dining hall. And that's why that decision was made with the various student gov folks in the room who all thought it was a good idea.
Senator Punzel?
So, I don't need any of the dining halls, but this is just for like knowledge so I can share. Does that $7.50 for the retail equivalently swipe, does that carry over every single day or does it reset to where it's just a strict $7.50 per day?
So every time you use your swipe, that's $7.50. Once you walk away from that location, let's say I only used $5. There's nothing for that time slot available left on my card. You get one swipe up to $7.50. You don't have to use all $7.50, but once you swipe, that's your swipe for that meal period until you go to the next.
President Bradley?
To clarify for everybody, it's $7.50 we're referring to per swipe is what you get if you choose to eat at a retail location rather than a dining hall. You get $7.50 per swipe, and there are rules on how often you can use a swipe. So you cannot use 2 consecutive swipes to equal $15.
There are different time slots for those meal equivalencies. I'm unsure as to what exact time they are because I don't have a dining plan. Senator Carter, do you know?
Yes, so, I believe it's 7 to 11:30, no, 7 to 11 is breakfast, 11 to 2 is lunch, 4 to 7:30 is dinner, and then 9 to close is late night as well, so.
And maybe I'm now asking a question that you might not know the answer to, and you're welcome to yield to Senator Carter who knows the answer. Do you get $7.50 at all of those time slots?
Yes, yes you do.
You have to have a meal swipe available.
Yeah, because that's the price of the equivalency.
Thank you.
Therefore, equivalency, if I could clarify, you can choose you can go to a dining hall, that's a up to $7.50 value, or retail location, you get something for, and then get that discount of $7.50, and then if you go over, use another way to purchase the rest of your purchase.
Senator Bolt?
So this is more so a question real quick for President Bradley, as this was something that you mentioned at our previous meeting of when dining was discussed, I believe. With the name change, is that kosher to discuss with constituents now? Or do we still want to keep that on the down?
You referring to the Down Under name change?
No, I'm referring to the...
Oh, the retail?
Yes.
Yeah. I believe we're already trying to practice it.
They want us, if I may interject, they want us to spread the news because, like I said, current student, incoming freshmen and students are being educated at their store programs that it's now a retail equivalency swipe. Honestly, they might not even be saying it's changed. They're just saying this is your retail equivalency swipe. This is how you use it. So now it's our duty as senators to spread the word of the retail swipe. So,
Isn't it true, Senator Wheatman, that you can only double swipe if you use one meal swipe at the dining hall and then one retail equivalency swipe? Yes.
I did not know. Wait, in a time period, I can go to Esker, swipe, and then go to P Street and get like a delivery?
That is correct.
My mind is just gonna go.
I'm sure the minutes reflect that for our constituents. Senator Calvin?
Just to clarify, when they talked about changing the name of the title, are they still intending to keep some of the options that were under the 750 at locations? I'm not gonna name the various options, but is that still intended to be kept?
President Brackett?
Nothing besides the name will change.
Just wanted to clarify.
We're gonna go from meal equivalency to retail equivalency, and nothing else will change.
Senator Purnell?
Are you able to share the concerns that were shared about the flex meals?
Yeah, there were just people wanting to cancel their plans because they were unaware of what Flex Meals plan included, even though multiple people at the meeting even looked it up. I looked it up on my laptop and on the website. It says exactly what it is, plain and simple in bullet points. So people just, I'm not sure what they envisioned when going in, but it wasn't what they expected, and they wanted to cancel their meal plan even though it wasn't really an option at that point. I'm not sure what the card office employees did with their complaints. I know they addressed them and we talked about them, but people were just saying that they were unsure. They didn't understand what their meal plan was and wanted to cancel.
Senator Gold?
To quickly clarify a point, unless things have changed, that President Bradley and Senator Carter made, it is only the lunch and dinner periods that allow for both swipes. I mean, it is to be expected as that's when the dining halls are open, but just so the quote-unquote double swipe is only for when the dining halls are open.
This is true. Senator Carter?
So, I know this is tricky, but I'm gonna explain it. Breakfast, you get 1 swipe. Lunch and dinner, you get 2 swipes. Late night, you get 1 swipe.
You nailed it. Wasn't tricky at all. Any other questions? Going once? Going twice?
Seeing none, with that we are on to internal committee reports, starting with the Academic Affairs Committee.
Yes. It's too imperial.
For now, you got
I did not see.
Good evening. This should be nice and short for you. The committee met to discuss the final winner of each instructor award. The top 4 finalists were determined prior to the Tuesday meeting, and the committee members met to decide each winner. The awards will be given at 4 p.m. on April 29th in the Old Main Ballroom. Thank you.
Any questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none. What a beautiful committee report. With that, we'll move on to the internal communications committee report. Senator Carter, you have the floor. Whoop.
I got you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. The communications committee met on Thursday at 8 a.m. Deputy Speaker Patricus is the vice chair. Senator Gutzloff is the secretary. We talked about TikTok ideas. Some were doing like the full house with the Senate or Senate leadership. Another one was doing day in the life, where we would start off with parliamentarian Irwin and that, and going through his day and that. And we're looking to be more Senate focused and that. So, yeah, with that, I yield.
Wonderful. Are there any questions for the communications committee? Senator Keeler.
When can we expect this day in the life?
I yield to Director.
What was your question?
When can we expect this day in the life of parliamentarian?
Oh, when? Hey, it's whenever Blake is ready to sit down and start videotaping.
Yield the floor to parliamentarian Erwin. Not the other answer, in case you wanted to.
That will depend on when I'm doing something interesting enough for the general public to consider.
I will say that I will also be doing one.
Sorry.
I will also be doing one. I think I'm doing mine tomorrow because, yeah. So, yes.
Deputy Speaker Patricus.
I would just like to say, Parliamentarian Irwin, I think everything you do is interesting enough to make me
Any other questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to, we're gonna go a bit out of order so that Senator Carter can stay up there. Student Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Student Affairs Committee met on Friday at 2 p.m. Some old business we discussed. Housing, air conditioning is more likely than not going to be installed for Airy Fricker. No dates yet. Elevator project, Wells East, summer 2025, Wells West, possibly in 2026. With parking, discussions with parking on improving kiosk signage has begun. Apps and tech, Penn State inspired directory app being explored. And then dining, the Dine on Campus app now has the to-go boxes listed, dining times added, and Starbucks mobile ordering is now available. And Title IX, working on a crash course to help explain the complaint process of going through that. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield.
Any questions? I'd like to very quickly announce that just earlier, I assume he's going to watch the recording and we'll be talking to him. Former Senator Owen Russell stopped by our WebEx meeting, so thank you very much for stopping by, Senator Owen Russell. So with that, we'll move on to the Elections Engagement Committee. Senator Gross, you have the floor.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So Elections Engagement Committee, we met on April 4th. So last week, there was an election. I hope you all voted. All that we know right now is that voter turnout doubled from previous April election to this April election across the city. We do not have the official numbers yet. And then this week, well, basically this month, it's Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So we're having volunteers, multiple tabling and volunteer events. You should have, if you're part of the Elections Engagement Committee, and I believe Student Affairs Committee, you should have gotten a Excel spreadsheet for you to sign up. Please sign up. There's still open time slots. I mean,
Any questions for Senator Gross? Once, or twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to officer reports of our president, Mr. Town Rather.
Good evening, everybody. Take a look here. Please review what I did last week. You'll find it in the packet. This week, Speaker Wilson and I gave candidate Aaron Barnett for the Vice Chancellor of the Students Search a tour of campus. It went very well. Faculty Senate meeting tomorrow. It is WebEx only. If you haven't received the link already, would like to attend, please let me know. I can forward it to you. Tomorrow, WSG and SGH folks will be meeting. It'll be students only to discuss what does our relationship look like, and we'll get into some documents here in a second. We're also doing a tour, Speaker Wilson and I, on Wednesday with a second Dean of Students candidate. Now we'll be meeting with young auditorium folks, or the young folks. Cabinet meets as always, and a one-on-one with Vice Chancellor of Administrative Affairs, Brenda Jones. And now we're meeting for a second time this week to review our process. The Young Student Advisory Board will meet on Friday. Who's the new student? Senator Gross will be joining us, so thank you, Senator Gross. And then Internal Student Affairs Committee meeting. I want to get into a little bit about the WSG structure. What does it look like? Our ROC counterparts. I think need some clarifications. I put together this. So if you'll see, and I'll email it out as well, it's not in your packet, so I'll try and walk you through it. Each of these boxes I'm referring to as pillars of our organization. It's easy to kind of call them branches or committees or whatever. I'm calling each of these pillars of our campus. First, let's see, we have the executive branch made up of by president, vice president, and the directors, including the WSG clerk. That's one of the pillars of the organization.
Another is the Senate, made up of different Senate seats, and then Senate leadership, the Speaker, Deputy, and Parliamentarian. We also have internal committees, are a separate pillar of this organization, chaired by different folks throughout both of the four branches. ROC SGA, Student Government Association, is another pillar, the fourth pillar. And then SUFAC is the last one. There seems to be a misconception at the moment of where ROC fits into this. They're not currently a committee, they're a pillar of the organization. This is the executive board. We have the supervising president, down to the vice president and the advisor. And then we have the different directors. These are our current directors, and they can shift around a bit for our standing rules. And these are the committees that they chair below them. And then you'll see the Senate. I know there's a couple of spelling errors, my apologies. But we're trying to type this up before our ROC students come to campus tomorrow. So if you'll take a look here, these are different districts. Your name's listed. We have some stars to denote the speaker, deputy, and parliamentarian. This is the order of Senate leadership only. So you can see that you're equals and senators. Any questions? Just be sure with our ROC students tomorrow, ROC SGA students, that they have a better idea of how we as an organization operate. Here are the questions.
Any questions? President Bradley? Once, twice, see none. All right, with that, we'll move on to the report of our Vice President. Turner.
Good evening, everybody. For the sake of time, I'm going to yield to my report with two exceptions. I've been doing a lot of gala planning recently, so I hope everybody's getting excited for that. And secondly, if you took the oath today as a senator, please see me afterwards.
Any questions for Vice President Bain? Senator Grill?
Do we have a date and time for the gala?
We do have a date and time. The date is on May 2nd. Friday. Everybody would like to write that down. It is Friday indeed. And it will be starting at 5 p.m. So more details to come on that. I'll be in contact with many of you folks. Many of you know, there is a Senator of the Year award, which I'll be sending out a Google form with that sometime this week. So stay tuned and pay attention to your emails.
President Bradley.
It's important to note, we'll likely do an open house and kind of office tour starting at 5. But for those of us that have family traveling from out of state or from afar, we probably won't start the gala until about 6 o'clock. Actually, 6 o'clock.
Questions for Vice President Bain?
Yes.
Could we get a calendar invite? I mean, I can even send it out.
It's all coming your way. This is premature.
Do not worry. There will be a pre-dinner at 5:30, just to clarify for everybody.
Okay. Senator Whedon?
What's the dress code for the gala?
Formal.
Halloween themed. All right, it seems like that might come in an
business formal.
There you go.
Wonderful. Any other questions? For once, or twice, seeing none. Then we'll move on to the report of our advisors.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Spent a little bit of time last week with some of our organizational practices, so that was good to spend time with so many of you. I did send the 8.5 by 11 down this way. I hope it continued around.
It made its way to the end.
Yay! So I know you've heard it 1,000 times, but please, could you please complete the survey and ask at least 5 of your friends to do the same. I would just share, I have some other updates, but I'll send them out electronically. I will be completely unavailable tomorrow. If you need something that's related to SAI, you can certainly contact Kim Clarkson or work with our president, who can text me, but I'm having 2 teeth pulled, so I may be really entertaining tomorrow on the medication. So, yeah, I mean, someone should film that. In any case, I hope to be back at work on Wednesday. As a reminder, right, we have a bunch going on Wednesday with folks on campus, and I'll be hopefully attending unaltered and all meetings. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I will yield to questions.
Any questions for Vice President? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to e-board reports, starting with the report our Director of Academic Affairs, and advisor on passing the gavel to Deputy Chief.
Good evening, everyone.
So I just want to remind you all the enrollment for fall 2025 started today. So if you have any questions, feel free to direct them to me or of course your academic advisor. You got an email from the registrar's office about your appointment time. Other than that though, I'll yield to my report for the sake of time.
Are there any questions for Director Reiser? Seeing none, we move on to the report of Director Dallas Berry.
Hello, everyone. It's great to see you today, or this evening, I should say. For the sake of time, I'm also going to yield to my report.
Are there any questions for Director Dallas Berry? Seeing none, we'll move on to the report of Associate Director Khan.
I also yield to my report, but I do ask the Student Affairs Committee to meet me after the meeting.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the report of Director of Communications. All right, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, Warren Smith.
Sorry, we sit out of order. I will not be yielding to my report. Apologies. We had just over 900 voters on campus. I've heard conflicting numbers, which is why we don't have officials yet. I'm getting those from the clerk shortly. Thank you to everyone who partook in the Out of the Darkness walk. We raised quite a bit of money over our goal, more than double of our goal, largely in thanks to Parliamentarian Irwin. Thank you. So thank you to everyone who came to that. It was really important that we showed up for that. This week, I will be at a conference this weekend, so you will not be able to contact me, which does mean there will be no EDC this week. So please keep that in mind. That will be canceled on your calendar shortly. And two more things. The next city council meeting will be on campus, April 15th at 6:30 p.m. in this room. If you want to see what it looks like for people to get sworn into a committee or into the council, if you want to see how committee appointments happen on a city council level, I really encourage you to come to this meeting. It's got some really interesting process things that happen in this meeting. And then the other thing is just that I am still begging for volunteers for all the things we're doing in April. So if you have questions on that or anything else, please see me after the meeting. I yield.
Are there any questions for Director Smith?
Is it true that some WSG people could volunteer the day of the council meeting to help folks find this room from the main floor?
That is quite true, yes.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the report of Director of Communications, Page 1. I'll be passing the gavel back to Steve Wilson.
Due to the sake of time, I'm also going to yield to my report, so everyone just read it, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to come up to me after the meeting. Thank you. I yield.
Wonderful. With that, we'll move on to our
Alright, I want to say thank you to you all who came to the debate last week and volunteered at the building drive. And this week, I just want to remind everyone, let's not talk about the elections. The elections
I just heard elections.
Look.
No, I heard elections and I just sprung up. I know it's important, so I started listening.
Our elections, state elections, I don't care. WSG elections in the office. If someone's talking about it, please remind them nicely. Let's not do that. If they talk about it again, please email me. And other than that, I yield. Sorry. Also, I want to apologize. At the end of your packet is Director Bell-Sperry's report. I actually put the wrong one in the packet itself, so that's on the last page. And with that, that's all.
Any questions for the clerk? Going once, going twice, seeing none, with that, we are on to the report of Senate Parliamentarian Baker.
Also in the interest of time, I'll skip to the most important bit, which is that your second outreach is due this Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Change it by a minute for clarity. You must have 15 students complete surveys after talking with them about WSG and talking to them about their issues and concerns. Senators just sworn in, you're exempt from this because you were just sworn in. I included a little list of ways that I brainstormed to accomplish it. This includes talking to friends, tabling. Senator Purnell accomplished, I believe, all 15 of their surveys through one tabling session. Ask to speak to a club, stand in the lobbies of residence halls or dining halls and speak to people passing through. Walk around the UC, stand outside big university events, speak to classmates before or after class. Stand outside academic buildings and speak to people leaving. You could speak to people entering, but they're probably trying to get to class. Talk to student coworkers before and after work or during a break. Attend an RA or lit event and speak to the people there. Or put on a magic show and talk to people between things. If you do that one, the requirement is lowered to 10 surveys. I yield to my report.
Quick question. How did you come up with the magic idea and why did you lower it to 10 reports?
Because I think that would be really amusing as an answer for the 10. And good, do great things for the image of WSG on campus. For as to how I came up with it, magic shows there is to draw large crowds, and there's usually a bit of like a chatter between the magician and the audience in between tricks, and which usually it's stuff like, where are you from? This time it could be like, how's your dining experience?
Thank you very much. If anyone wants to join me in the WSG office after this, I will do a 2.5-minute magic show, and we can talk about dining experiences.
Two reminders.
Senator Carter.
Sorry, if I could, 2 reminders that you may not complete a survey with another member of WSG. I encourage you to try not to repeat people unless they have drastically different concerns last time you spoke to them, and there's a list of additional QR codes downstairs in the office, as well as large printouts of them, and if you contact me, I'll email you a file containing the QR image.
Senator Carter.
Parliamentarian Irwin, isn't it true that this Thursday at 7 p.m. in the Down Under, there's actually a magician coming to campus?
I personally have no details, but Senator Carter is usually well versed on the subject of what we see.
That is correct. There is a magician actually coming on Thursday, so.
Delightful.
Senator Kiva.
Point of information, if we actually do a magic show, it is lowered to 10.
Yes.
How public does this magic show have to be?
On what?
Public. 10 people? Thank you.
Well, minus any WSG people. It has to be bigger.
Senator Brown.
Will we be discussing the outreach events with senators again this time around like we did last?
I will not be going under any uniform process of speaking to senators to complete it, but as ever, if there's anything any senators wish to speak to me about, they're free to come speak to me whenever they see me or schedule a meeting. So if you want to discuss your outreach event experience, I strongly encourage you to do so.
Question for you. Are you going to be doing the outreach event again, how we did last time?
Yes, that's part of the report I skipped over. I completed 20 surveys before today's meeting.
Recommendation or idea? Can you do your outreach event while you're filming your day in the life?
Oh, that would be great.
Single party gets empty.
That's certainly an idea to consider.
Senator Kiva.
So a point of information, if you were to do that, would that not give senators a better idea of how to complete these surveys?
What an excellent point, thank you.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions? With that, we'll move on to the report of Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Nick McCready.
Apologies for the long report today. I'm just going to say, dear officers, and with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield.
Any questions for Deputy Speaker Petraeus? Well, once we're placing with that one on my report, I will generally yield. Keep an eye on your calendars. We're going to have the Rock County Senate meeting scheduled here soon. We'll toss that out. It will fill the same block of time, but we'll
28th is the email that I received.
28th, it's scheduled. We'll get you a calendar invite, and we'll take a little bus over. It'll be great. We always do one Senate meeting at Rock County every semester. It's going to be a great time, I am sure. Otherwise, I yield to my report. Senator Restaurant.
For the Rock County one, for the meeting there, would we be leaving, what time would we be leaving for the bus?
We will work that out when we get the calendar invite. Probably somewhere between 6:30 and
my guess, but we'll work it out. Any other questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to unfinished business, which we have none. So new business, which we have none. So announcements. Are there any announcements tonight? Director Finn.
Hey, looking for volunteers still. If you're interested in seeing a student panel about the strategic plan and budget and how that impacts students, you can be in this room from 10 to noon on Monday.
I'll be hosting a magic show, most likely in McCutcheon Hall on Wednesday.
Senator Bolt.
I would like to yield to Senator Carter. Do you want to discuss it?
I guess I will. I don't know if many of you have saw, but this coming month will be my last month with UC Live. I have accepted another position that I won't go into detail, but I just wanted to say thank you all for coming to those events and showing support for the staff. And I would truly miss hosting those events for y'all. These past 2 years have been an honor in my life, so thank you.
You do a wonderful job at it.
Thank you.
Senator Reed.
I'm still selling cookie dough. If anyone wants to bring cookie dough home for Easter, you'll get it right before Easter break. I've got a really easy QR code this week, so you can just scan it, purchase it, and I'll bring it to you on the 17th.
Deputy Speaker Petrang.
It is for Pie Stigma.
The Coalition Against Sexual and Personal Violence will be meeting this Thursday at 6:30?
6:30.
6:30 in the UC South Mall. We're doing plate smash. You write on a plate and then smash it on the ground. And leave it. I would encourage you all to show up.
Any other announcements? Going once, going to Clerk West.
Tomorrow in Highland 1303, you can come learn about child abuse recognition and get a report certificate at 5 p.m.
Nice.
Director Smith.
City Council next Tuesday, this room, 6:30.
Quick question, is that normally on campus?
It is not normally on campus. We actually only have it once a semester, so this is your one chance this semester before fall, like way out in September, to come see City Council on campus.
Director Melker.
Internal Student Affairs Committee, please meet after the meeting.
Wonderful. I have one last announcement. April 7th, 9:15, WSG office, Speaker Wilson Magic Show. With that, we'll be on to adjourn. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Senator Pund. I move to adjourn. Can I get a second? Senator Houston.
Second.
Can I get a voice vote?
Acclamation.
At precisely 9:11, we're out of here today.
I just said.
Magic show buttons.
9/11.
That's a great shot.
Speaker.
I gotta go.
You have to talk to Isabel.
Jan, I saw your camera. Go straight out. I'd say
Vice Chair.
That's right. Some shake my hand. Congratulations. We're back in business, man. But he did.
Sounds good, right?
Oh, really? Okay. They won't be free. Maybe. I said maybe. I'm giving you a maybe. Don't make me do it. Yes. You got it. You got it. 17 minutes. I'm going to be taking a video. Like, there's a long all right, good. Crank the volume up a little bit right, it's going to break this down.
For me, everybody who has a water bottle, I see it, it's a water bottle, but it's a water bottle. If you got a problem that's not water, put it in a water bottle and tell me it's gone. Otherwise, if I see it on the table, I'll just ask you. Sometimes I don't get it. But when I do see it, I talk about it.
I did, it was above my head.
No, that's the question.
Yeah, go ahead. Whatever you
So, you don't care?
Well, I genuinely, this is, you're not, do what you need.
Yeah, thank you. I'm okay. You got it right.
Whatever you need. What are they gonna do?
One that you were on, what I have. Elementary advisory.
I at least like had it.
Did that give you?
Every other Friday.
You might want these.
Not again.
Good to see you, Locke.
I know, I haven't watched
Resources that we could leverage. Here's my response to them being like, oh wait, we do it.
I don't review. I know there was an old, it's alright, I'll well, this is where it kind of right? Yeah.
That was a good one.
Then I also had like 3 credit from the game, so that was part of it.